Welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport.
So another weekend down, and this is probably the last weekend roundup of 2019. What did you think of the motorsports this year? We've seen some interesting things, some new champions, a lot of old ones, and a whole lot of intrigue building for 2020. So for one more time, let's look at this weekend's motorsport and discuss all the very interesting events that happened. Starting with the final V8 Supercars of Australia races at Newcastle. Scott McLaughlin was already champion for the second year in a row, but the team's championship between Penske and Triple Eight was still up for grabs. The first race started with Jack Le Brocq being spun round by James Golding, who would also be spun out later in the race. The Triple Eight Holdens were running first and second and looking good to close the gap in the team's points when Jamie Whincup ran wide and dropped to 7th. Van Gisbergen won, but the two Penske Fords finished second and third and pulled away in the title race. The final race of the season started with a literal bang. Reynolds ran wide and hit the wall, and Lee Holdsworth slammed into the back of him. There was some big damage to Holdsworth's car. There was a good battle between James Courtney and Anton De Pasquale until they got together and De Pasquale had damaged suspension. Golding was another to hit the wall, rounding off his poor weekend. Jamie Whincup won the race, but DJR Team Penske won the double. Having said that, Scott McLaughlin has not won since Bathurst. After such a dominating start to the year, he still won 18 out of 32 races. But momentum has swung away from him towards the end of the year, and it'll be interesting to see how he starts next year. The series is losing a few important names. Richie Stanaway is retiring from motorsport, a driver who had success in GP3 and GP2, but never had the backing he needed. A sad way to end his career with very little success to show for it. Gary Jacobson and Simona Di Silvestre are also leaving the series, along with Nissan. So it's back to Ford versus Holden. Seems ages ago that Volvo and Mercedes also competed. The Asian Le Mans Series returned this weekend from Shanghai, China, and I actually did watch all 4 hours. FIS Team AAI GT BMW ended up on the steel barrier in what was a very uncomfortable position that brought out a full course yellow. The race closed up towards the end and there was a good battle between the leaders, but LMP2 was won by G-Drive's James French, Roman Rusinov, and my favourite name ever, Leonard Hugenboom. LMP2 Amateur was won by RLR M Sport, with Intel Europol winning LMP3 and D-Station AMR winning GT. The Super GT X DTM Dream races from Fuji were largely disappointing. It was nice to see Alex Zanardi again, although he did retire. Sasaki retired on the pit straight, which went down well, especially with Nick Cassidy, who lost a good lead to a safety car. A couple of cars spun at the restart. Cassidy won. Rast was the top DTM car in 8th. The second race had a couple of incidents. Rene Rast's tyre exploded, leaving a mess on the track and bringing out the safety car. There was a couple of incidents after the safety car with cars going all over the place. Duval and Kobayashi had a good battle that included tight racing and contact, but both managed to finish the race at least. Shockingly enough, Carter Kane won the second Dream race. And that should be embarrassing enough for both series to fold and everyone involved to retire. Jaguar iRacing was also back this weekend. Rima Jafali became the first Saudi woman to race in Saudi Arabia. A truly historic moment, I guess, but female representation was good, with 3 out of the 10 in the field. Not a lot happened. Alice Powell and Jimenez made contact in their fight, but Simon Evans dominated the race. The second race wasn't much better. Al Ghasabi had a big crash after being hit by Haberfeld. Big damage after hitting the wall. This brought out the safety car. There was a lot of confusion over attack mode. The commentators didn't know if the top 3 had used all their attack modes. It's a stupid concept. In the Jaguar Series and Formula E, it's basically a Joker lap but adding more power. Jimenez won from Evans and Powell. And finally, Formula E got underway this weekend. In the heat of Saudi Arabia, it was Sam Bird working his way up from 5th, but double champion Jean-Eric Vergne was in the pits. Van Dorn and Sims made contact and let Bird through to the lead. Towards the end, Daniel Abt hit the wall and brought out the safety car. De Vries and Sims then came together and lost places, and the race finished Bird from Lotterer on his Porsche debut, with Van Dorn and Rowland behind. De Grassi, Buemi and Vergne were all out of the points. The second race was very exciting to watch. De Costa spun Buemi round, ruining both their races, and then Buemi pulled out in front of several cars including teammate Rowland and was later given a 10-second penalty, akin to Vettel in Monza. Mitch Evans and Sam Bird collided and Dan Brogier would finish Sam Bird off, leaving him in the wall and a safety car coming out. There was confusion at the restart as cars went for attack mode, and they were overtaken by cars when they weren't allowed, leading to several penalties. Frines then ended up in the wall, a bad race for Virgin and the safety car was back out. And at a very dangerous moment, the green flag came out when people were still on the track moving Frines' car. Alexander Sims won his first ever Formula E race from De Grassi. Gunther finished second originally, giving BMW a 1-2, but he, along with Lotterer, Evans, Massa, Buemi, Marquing, Hart and De Vries were all penalised, and Oliver Turvey was even disqualified. The race was really exciting, but the rules were confusing and the top 10 was almost completely different from the race finishing order. But points for Collado on his debut though, which is cool. And that is that. As I said, this is probably the last weekend roundup for a while, so check out the playlist for all the year's action, subscribe and comment for more content, and have a good one.